Hi everyone and welcome back. Now this is the last scooter review we'll be doing for this entire year, and what we have right here is the KuKirin A1. This video will follow the usual format, so there will be an unboxing, of course, then I'll go over the specifications, and after that we'll talk a bit about what it's like to actually use the scooter. So let's jump right in and start with the unboxing. Basically, this is a typical KuKirin scooter, so you shouldn't expect any big surprises since it's pretty much fully assembled. When you take it out of the box, even the fender is already attached to the scooter, so you don't have to put it on yourself. The only thing you need to screw on is the handlebar, which is secured in place with 4 screws. You need to adjust the brake and then you're good to go. Obviously, you have to follow the usual procedures. Like with any Chinese scooter, you need to thoroughly check the screws. If they're too tight, loosen them. If they're loose, tighten them. Where there's no grease at the metal connection points that rotate, you need to apply some grease there. So it's worth remembering that these usual maintenance considerations definitely apply to this particular scooter as well. However, what is definitely a positive point when it comes to maintenance is that instead of the usual spring suspension, we are provided with a cartridge-based solution. This essentially means that there are far fewer pivot points where you need to pay attention to greasing. But I've already started getting into the technical specifications here, so let's continue with the specifications. Perhaps the most important thing about this scooter is that it has 800 watts of power. KuKirin doesn't really tend to play around with the power ratings, so if they say something is 800 watts, and they tell me it's 800 watts, then it usually really is. And fortunately, that's the case with this scooter as well. Just like it was with the G2, and of course with the G4 we have an even more powerful motor. But the point is, what they say is usually accurate, and my experience is that with the A1 the 800 watts is really there as well. The battery is 13 ampere hours, and according to the manufacturer you can go no less than 45 kilometers with it. Of course you can't actually go 45 kilometers with it, but I'll talk more about that a bit later. As usual, the hub motor is in the rear wheel. We have a front light, a rear light, and turn signals, which I'll highlight later because that's also important. And what's really important, and part of the exterior, is that this scooter has an incredibly good design. But now, after we have gone through all of the specifications, I am going to show you in much greater detail what this looks like, because it is most certainly worth taking a closer look at, so please pay close attention. Let's start with the footboard, because this particular footboard has a really cool and practical design. It's a bit textured, but there aren't any really deep grooves or anything like that where it would be especially hard to clean out accumulated mud. And I think the overall design is great too. There's just the right amount of orange in it, and you can see the model type very clearly. You can see that the scooter's frame is a kind of tubular frame which extends from the front, from the neck, all the way back to the footboard, or more precisely, to the heel support that's located here at the back. The whole appearance of the scooter, I have to say, is absolutely youthful and vibrant, really fresh, like a spring breeze. It honestly looks really cool. These stickers on the sides are really nice. They visually slim down the bulk of the scooter a bit. So, in my opinion, the design turned out really well. The ground clearance is more than adequate, which means this scooter can even be used off-road, and of course jumping off a curb is no problem at all. And as you can see, it has a C-type suspension, but as I mentioned, it doesn't have the usual spring element. Instead, there's a cartridge inside here, and that's what provides the suspension. As I mentioned, there's a disc brake here at the front, and of course we also have a disc brake at the rear. Both disc brakes are mechanical, of course, as is usually the case. What I really like about the design is that they've added this blue KuKirin logo, which lights up when you turn on the lights. I think it looks really cool. And the rear light also looks absolutely fantastic, by the way. As usual, it also functions as a brake light, and it's quite bright. And since we're talking about the lighting, I have to mention that we have this button cluster here on the handlebar. And on this button cluster, there's also a turn signal. And finally, this is a turn signal that's actually usable. In this case, usable means that when I press it, you can actually see it blinking at the end of the handlebar, which is really great and eye-catching, and it's quite bright. Of course, in sunlight it's not as visible, but in the dark it's definitely noticeable. And honestly, you probably couldn't find a better place for a turn signal on a scooter than at the end of the handlebar. Speaking of the handlebar, let's take a closer look at what we can find on it. Of course, we have a brake lever on one side and another one on the other side. There's also an integrated bell, and here is the button cluster I mentioned, which has the turn signal, the light, and the on-off button. With this light button, you can also change what appears on the dashboard. You can see the voltage, the distance traveled, and all sorts of things like that. By the way, the dashboard is relatively informative. There's no problem with it, since we can see the speed, the charge level in volts, whether the lights are on, whether the turn signal is on. So in that respect, it's really good. What isn't good, as usual, is that in sunlight you can hardly see anything on it. So once again, KuKirin hasn't managed to get this right. If we move a little bit further, over on the other side we find the main throttle and the ignition key that powers up the device. And of course, there is also a turn signal switch on this side as well. As you can clearly see, the handlebar itself isn't particularly wide, but it is certainly sufficient for typical city use. By the way, I haven't mentioned that the scooter's top speed is around 40 kilometers per hour. And for that, I think this handlebar is a bit narrow. But for the normal speed of about 20 to 25 kilometers per hour, since this is a scooter meant for city commuting, I think it's perfectly fine in that regard. Overall, what I can say about it is that it turned out incredibly well. At least I really like it. In fact, I like it even more than the G2 and G4 series. With this, the manufacturer has truly given it a youthful, very modern and very tasteful appearance, so in my opinion, it definitely deserves full marks. And now that we've finally gone through all the presentations, so we've covered the specifications, the exterior and everything else, now we can talk a little bit about what it's actually like to use this scooter, because of course that's a very important question. Basically, it's actually really good, and what's especially great about it is that the suspension turned out really well. I don't know how they managed to pull this off so well. Because of the cartridge solution, I expected the suspension wouldn't be too friendly, but I have to say it actually turned out perfect. It runs very smoothly, absorbs road imperfections well, and you can ride it not only on asphalt, but even on lighter off-road terrain. Even with my 86 plus kilogram body weight, it wasn't too stiff or too soft, and it didn't bottom out even on rougher ground, so it absolutely did its job well. The 800-watt motor is more than sufficient for practical use. Of course, it could be even more powerful, but with my body weight, it allows for a top speed of about 35 to 42 kilometers per hour, which might be a bit much for this scooter. Of course, a good question is how much range you can actually get with it, because manufacturers always tend to exaggerate a bit in this area, and this scooter is no exception. With this battery, there's no way it can achieve the stated 45 kilometers. Based on my calculations, with my weight of over 90 kilos, you can expect more like a 30-kilometer range. If I really push it hard, then it's more like just 25. Otherwise, according to the factory specs, it charges from 0 to 100% in about 7 to 8 hours, which means you can fully charge it overnight from empty, or if you go to work, you can also charge it during working hours, so really this isn't a problem at all. The scooter itself is very easy to handle, it behaves really well in corners, and even at higher speeds it performs excellently. I didn't really experience any wobbling, although it's true that around 40 kilometers per hour, the handlebars do get a bit twitchy. At that point, a wider handlebar would definitely be better. I don't recommend riding it at that speed, so if you buy this scooter, I think you should consider 30 kilometers per hour as the maximum. So what can we say in summary? Well, what I can certainly say about it is that I was thoroughly convinced not only by its impressive performance and its excellent suspension, which definitely need to be highlighted in this specific category, but also by its overall appearance, which I personally think has become much nicer, much more youthful and much more livable than the industrial welded look of the G2 or G4 series. The footboard looks better, the frame looks better, the forks look better. Everything looks better on it, in my opinion, than on the G2 or G4, although, of course, that's a matter of taste, so it's possible you might prefer that style. Who would I recommend this scooter to? Well, primarily to those who would use it to get around the city, commute to work, or go to school, so for relatively simple everyday use. Since it's comfortable and has good suspension, I can also recommend it for slightly longer routes, I dare say. So if you need to travel 10 or even over 20 kilometers in a single day, or even double that for a round trip, I can still confidently say that this scooter is quite good for that, because using it is not tiring at all. Overall, I'm absolutely satisfied with its quality, although there are a few minor things that could have been better. For example, the rear mudguard lets a bit of mud splash up. The charging port is again in a bad spot here at the front underneath, which means it gets quite a lot of water on it. The front light could also be stronger, so there was definitely room for improvement. So if you liked it and found it to be helpful, and based on this video you feel interested in learning even more, you'll find the link to my full written article in the video description on YouTube. In the description below, you'll also find the exclusive coupon code, which allows you to purchase this scooter at a very nice discount. And naturally, I've also included the direct purchase link. So for the time being, I believe I am done with all of my scooter testing for the rest of this year. However, I will be looking forward to bringing you many more in-depth scooter tests and reviews again next year. Until then, please take good care of yourselves, stay safe out there, and goodbye for now.